those if you're not watching and reschedule.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. It's round 2. We had some technical
we
difficulties. We're live in round 1 of the stream. This episode is brought to you by EagleRider Motorcycle Rentals and Tours. Don't forget to check out 2LaneLIVE.com under the EagleRider tab to see how you can book a trip, save some money. Let's have a good time while you're at it. Boys, who do we got today in the house?
Well, we have Maggie Hicks, but before we get into that, was it your birthday yesterday?
It was my birthday yesterday. I haven't drinking in some time, and I'm feeling it today. So you know what? Me and you, we're having a little cold something today, and you know what? It's a good time to be alive.
Or salute. I don't know.
And that's a good beer too.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse Shaw. This is great, and Jesse also gave us the Stone House Brewing there. Pretty cool.
Don't forget our Wednesday drops. Yesterday was cool. Check it out. There's some pretty cool Harley stuff, and you got to check out the app. We have this really cool thing happening on the app. What's happening on it?
I can't really tell.
Yeah.
But if you go into Harley-Davidson's app, get into the tour, the group, and we have all the instructions there. Click on the 2LaneLIVE, make a comment on one of the videos. There could be a winner of something. I don't know.
I wouldn't say a winner, but someone could get slightly lucky.
They could get lucky.
You know what I mean?
So you got to do it on the HD app.
Yeah.
Not a 2LaneLIVE's app because we don't have one.
So that drop was actually pretty cool to watch.
It was definitely cool, you know,
because it was a few months ago that we filmed that.
Yeah.
And I thought it turned out quite well. And Josh, thank you. I appreciate you helping me with the editing.
Oh yeah, Galen's actually been really killing it with the editing. I haven't worked an hour. So, and also, who do we got over here?
I don't know, but I think the first time I met this young lady, we met her. It could have been walking across a bridge in Daytona.
Well, wait, we knew of her.
Well, we knew of her, but we never.
We were at the Harley footprint. That's what you called it earlier in Daytona. And when we were standing there, she walked by and she went, and we went, and then she kept going. And
then we kind of stalked her.
And we were like,
bridge.
Hey, that's that girl, Maggie. She's
a badass.
And then we did it again. And then we walked across the bridge and we hung out and talked. And actually, she was in the video.
She was in the video.
She was in the video. She is really badass. She's a gnarly rider. She's an adventurous. She travels the world. She does a lot of stuff.
Well, let's get into that story because I want to, but before we do that, let's have you introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name's Maggie Hicks, and like they said, I like motorcycles because I get to travel the world on them. And I did the majority of my riding overseas prior to the pandemic. I got into riding motorcycles in Vietnam, lots of stories in between then and now. And then, in 2021, I bought my first Harley, and I wanted to see America on 2 wheels because I had done a lot of overseas travel, and I just hit the pavement running. So
you haven't stopped.
Haven't stopped.
Well, I want to go back a little bit further. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you started riding on dirt bikes when you were a young lady, right? Not that you're not young now.
Yeah. I was at the ripe young age of 27 when I started riding dirt bikes, actually. I was riding in Vietnam before, and my first dirt bike actually was when I was 27 at Swing Arm City.
Wow.
I had a group of friends take me out there and put me on one already 2 years into riding. And then I rode a dirt bike every single day for a year in Bali.
Wow.
My daily rider was a 150 KLX.
Nice.
What did you ride in Vietnam?
I was riding a 125cc Honda Win, which is a Frankenstein of a bike.
Was it a dirt bike or?
No, it was a straight cruiser, but we did some dirt, me and my brother. And you ride what the locals ride when you go to these countries because they can fix it when you break down.
Right.
And I had zero riding experience and zero fixing experience at that point. So I just went with a local ride.
So how did you end up in Vietnam? What made you say, I'm going to Vietnam?
Well, talk about the story with your brother as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how
I think
that all kind of came together, right?
So I was sitting on a beach in Spain, and I had been traveling around Europe, and I was burning out my visa. And I see that it's a common thing for backpackers to get motorcycles and ride across Vietnam. And I was like, do you need to have a license for this? Do you need to do anything? And it's the Wild East over there. Didn't need any of those things. But I didn't know how to ride. And I'd ridden on the back of my dad's Harley a few times. And then I didn't know how to fix bikes either. but my brother did. So my brother, who's never left the state of Texas since,
Yeah.
I call him up and I say, I want to ride motorcycles across Vietnam, but I can't do it if you don't come with me. I
Right.
guilted him into it. So he flew in, met me in Hanoi, and we bought motorcycles. It was $250 a bike.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we hit the road for 28 days roughly and rode all through the mountains along the Chinese border in the north and had the time of our lives. And my brother and me really hadn't had that adult relationship, like that time to form. So it was a really cool experience to share with him. And he broke more of the bikes than I did.
Right.
But he also
Did he fix them?
Yeah.
Where did you stay on this? Wherever?
Hotels are $5 a night in Vietnam.
Wow.
So we used Google Maps the whole time. We weren't sure of many other systems. And like, of all the traveling I've done, Vietnam had the best Wi-Fi of any place. So it was really surprising. And we actually like bought a local SIM card, had internet the whole time, and we were Google Maps working our way around the country. So we'd just find hotels and book them.
Wow.
Right there.
So it was like safety or, I mean, ever a consideration or concern or no?
I don't know. I feel like I was kind of riding that high of being in my mid-20s. Like,
No clue.
you know what? If someone can do it, I've always had the attitude. If someone can do it, I can do it.
Right.
I mean, it's so awesome to have that sense of adventure and spirit. I mean, I kind of did as well, but I would think if my daughter was like, I'm going to go to Vietnam, I'd be like, what? No, I would be like, don't go, stay here. You know,
Yeah.
but I know what you're saying. I can dig it.
So we invited my dad, and his biggest regret was that he didn't come with us when we invited him, is when he saw everything that we were doing over there and the fantastic trip that we had. But yeah, my dad kind of, I think at that point already was like, can't really stop you at this point. And seeing how popular it was on the internet, I think that's been a huge resource for being like, wow, there's so many people getting into this and doing it this way. Kind of just trusted and went with it. There are many ways it could have gone wrong,
Right.
but I then after that did a bit of riding, a couple more years of riding around different countries, but I came back and got my license through Harley-Davidson. I went and did the MSF course, the basic rider course, and did it legit. So I could go rent bikes from places like EagleRider in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your first Harley? What bike did you buy?
So I came back to the States, and the first Harley I have ever like driven myself, everything, I got a 2021 Lowrider S.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
which I still to that
Still
day.
haven't.
Well, I don't have
Oh,
it.
you don't have it.
I don't have it because in 10 months I put 33,000 miles on it.
Perfect.
And then the Lowrider ST came out, and I'm like, that's
Oh,
a little bit more set up for touring.
So what were you riding on with your dad on his Harley? What did he have there?
He had an 89 Sportster with a bunch of customizations and silver flames.
Whoa.
So yeah, when I went back to get my license, my brother was living at home, and I was like, why don't we fix this bike up? I was there for a couple weeks. I'm like, the bike hasn't ran in like 5 years. Let's do something about that. So I actually wrote it up to take the test for my license, and then was like screwing the bolts back in at 90 miles an hour as I'm riding down the highway.
So you make stuff happen.
Yeah. I get crazy ideas, and I'm like, nothing's going to stand in my way, and figure out a way to make it happen for sure.
Well, we're kind of all over the board here. So you graduate college and then you decide to go travel, or what is this plan of, I'm going to be a vagabond overseas?
Well, I think like I had always had this itch because my parents would buy me the National Geographic magazines. And I talked to somebody the other day about this story. One of them came in the mail about the Panama Canal and had a map. And I grew up in Texas, and I could just barely see the edge of Texas and then Panama. And I'm like, I can walk this. So I packed a backpack at 10 years old with sandwiches and my map from my National Geographic. And I was trying to convince the neighbor kid to walk to Panama with me.
Really?
Yeah. And because he wouldn't go, I didn't end up going. But I was like hell bent on doing it. And a couple years ago, I had a layover on my way to Colombia, and I was in the Panama City airport, and I messaged the neighbor kid from back in the day on Facebook, because we're all connected still. And I was like, dude, I made it to Panama.
Finally.
That's a cool story.
Exactly. So since I was 10, it's been one of those things I think I've always known. And then when I like kind of dropped out of college and then went back into college, I was like, I want to do something digitally so that I can travel the world. So I'm a graphic designer by trade, and traveled for 6 years overseas working from internet and doing graphic design and marketing.
Crazy
That's
world
awesome.
today,
Yeah,
isn't
definitely.
Right.
it? Right. To do that. Now, I actually packed a suitcase when I was like, I think I was in 7 or 8,
Okay.
and I was leaving home, and I got to the end of the street. My friend Jimmy Batchelor came around the corner in his car and he waved at me, and I'm like, I can't leave. I got to go back home.
Don't
That's
leave
my
Jimmy.
buddy. Can't leave Jimmy.
Where were you planning on going?
I didn't know. I was just
Okay.
going, and
You
it
were
was
just
an
out.
old suitcase in the old days. You had, you know, the little stickers from all the different places that you
Yeah.
had traveled. So I had this thing. I was just going to be a guy walking down the street, shining shoes, whatever,
That's
making
awesome.
it happen.
So you have that itch a little bit too.
I do, but Jimmy was holding me back.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
well,
Great.
I had 3 brothers and sisters, and my parents did what they could do to raise us. But when I was 16, I headed to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, cool.
So I went there and I found that. Once I hit that and saw that, adventure started. I never stopped. And my parents were always like, "You're just a traveler." So I think people on motorcycles are travelers.
Definitely. I think
Yeah.
that's something that I've found all over the world. And one of the reasons that I think motorcycling kept that allure is that I met so many interesting people who you knew had that kind of itch, especially when I
Right.
was overseas. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking last night about when you were coming on here that it's so interesting because the people that you know in Vegas, we know,
Right.
and it's, you know, we've known for probably maybe 5 or 6 years. Like Jeff Seabear introduced us to a bunch of people there, Dustin and Brandy and Kristen. And so just very interesting that this
It's-
small group,
Yeah.
but yet has such a wide net because everyone's doing some really great things. And it's all over the Instagram, it's all over YouTube, and it's kind of interesting to see that.
It's been really cool. So Vegas wasn't necessarily my first choice coming back from 3 years of being based in Bali, Indonesia.
Right.
Right.
Tropical
Right.
island, living on a beach, riding cafe racers around.
Now you're in the desert.
And then I went to dry, and then a lot more cold than I really expected. I
Yeah.
don't think I knew. Nobody told me when I moved there. They were like, come, it'll be fine. You can ride motorcycles all year round.
Right.
This is what they got me on. And the community that is there wasn't something I was looking for or expected, but is really strong in Las Vegas. And I love that. There
Yeah.
are some really talented riders, really good stunt scene out there. It's huge. I fell right in. My friends are pilots, and I moved in with them, and down the street there was a mechanic who helped me get my bike, my first Harley, who was super helpful with that. He's in the stunt scene and introduced me to a ton of people and was like, you got to meet Brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the chick to know. If you're going to be a girl on a Harley, you got to
Right.
hang out with Brandy. Yeah.
Hey, Brandy.
And Kristen, we love what they're doing too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just we've had quite a few females on the show because I think we also want to showcase that community as well. I mean, we're all bikers, and not maybe the biker term, but
Yeah.
in that community. And I think for us, we hear some of the stories that some of us men will say to women that they're on their bikes, and it's like we got to kind of get rid of that stigma a bit, I think. And because we've ridden with Kaylin and Letitia, and just badass. We rode in New
Yeah.
Mexico together.
Yeah.
You can ride, and it's like, fuck the stigma. Like,
Yeah.
you know, oh, you rode up on that bike. Is that really your bike? Come on. So it's we really want to promote that this is a community. It's we had what's her name that rode the Pan America, the 1012
Whitney.
Whitney. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whit Mesa.
Whit
Yeah.
Mesa. So it's, you know, it's cool to see what they're doing. I love when they're out there talking about it and getting the community behind them. We've had Jessica Haggett from the Lidas, and to hear her story and talk about, she's got 28,000 people in the Lidas, and she's like, I want more. And it's like, get more then. You
Yeah.
know?
It's been super cool. So like when I first moved to Indonesia, to Bali, I found a local Leaders chapter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have that in the far reaches.
Wow.
And shortly after I did that, Jessica came out on vacation with, I think it's her husband. And she met with one of my photographer friends who met up with them. But they had girls from Jakarta coming, island hopping over on their bikes just to get to
Wow.
ride with her. And like, I had spent about 3 years riding all over Indonesia and over Southeast Asia, and I was admiring from afar all these badass women, like following all these people here, all these chicks here that are really riding and living it. And I was in awe of everyone, in following some really cool chicks in Australia as well too. And then when I got back here and I bought my Harley, I was like, I got to go hit the road to see the United States on my Harley, but I also want to meet all these badass chicks because I was watching the events as they're getting more popular, women only events. And I really appreciate everyone who is welcoming women into it too and has that mentality, like, because it's not everybody in this scene for sure. And
No, yeah.
I get that on far reaches of the world in India. They're like, we stopped on the side of the road. I was in India this summer and they were some guys were like, older guys too. They're like, you must be riding your own bike. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Thank you.
Well, we know
I'm the one leading the pack right now. But
we know a
yes,
couple
I am.
women that ride that their stories of, and Stacy's one of them, Stacy Wilt, where they travel and they camp and they do all this stuff alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's gnarly. Especially just, oh, here's a place. I'm going to pull over here and I'm going to park my bike and I'm going to pitch a tent and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's, to me, that's
I think the thing
gnarly.
that makes it gnarly is the biggest danger I feel like is those people who have the opposing attitude, is that we don't belong on the
Maybe, yeah.
road, is that we don't belong in those places. Those are the scariest things we have to watch out for. It's not bears. It's not,
Yeah.
you know, it's not,
But
it's
they're
not
out
being run
there
off the
too.
road. Like women are pretty good, safety minded people. We're pretty safe riders usually. It's none of that stuff. It's really those people who are like, you don't belong here. You don't belong
Yeah, I mean,
on that bike.
that's
we're
what I'm
more-
talking about.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's gnarly just to do it yourself anyway,
Yeah.
whether you're a man or
Right.
a woman. Like, we don't typically put a roll on and go camp along the side of the river to, you know.
No, I
Individually.
personally
Yeah.
would not be alone and go, oh, look at that patch right there. I'm just going to park it. I'm going to be going, where's that Best Western?
Yeah.
Oh, there it
But
is.
I think to me, it's the stigmatism where someone will roll up on you at a gas station or say something condescending. And that's what I despise, because I mean, just let it go, you know, and
Well, there are certain.
there's shitty guy riders. Like, you shouldn't be on that bike, dude. Really. Like, but
sure.
but I just enjoy people that have a passion about their craft, and I enjoy that Jessica had this passion to start because she couldn't find anyone to ride with.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired this whole movement for her. And now she's got chapters all over the world, and a lot of people following in the chapter. So
And inspiring.
kudos to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big thing is that, like, I think it just takes one person showing that you can.
Right.
Like, if some of these women that are doing it said, oh, you know, all these bad things that could happen stopped me from doing this.
Right.
You know, then they wouldn't be out there showing and proving to all the other women that I'm not
Right.
gonna curse.
You
Can I do that on camera?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yes, you
Leave-
can.
Yeah. That you can do out there. Like, you can get out there. You can just buy a tent and go. And I have pitched my tent in the middle of nowhere where I'm like, oh, the sun's going down. Actually, satellite phoned Justin. I was going across a stretch in Oregon, and I was like, I'm running out of sunlight because I got a little distracted in this off-road playground I found. But like, where's the next town and where's the next like camping spot? He's like, you're in the middle of absolute nowhere and there's no service. I'm like, cool. There's a little bit of light left. I'm
Right.
like, I can make this work. And
So you
found
use
a patch.
satellite phones.
I do keep one with me when I'm traveling on the long distance.
That's
ones.
cool.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
I think is a really good thing to have, especially out west. There's so many stretches where you could get stuck in a situation. And now, especially going off-road a little bit more than this next
Well,
chapter.
yeah, so I mean, you come back to the States, you get a bike, you're riding all over the place. You get another lowrider ST, riding all over the place, and all of a sudden you're on a Pan America. What's that all about?
I mean, I'm super grateful. I think this was another one of those right place, right times, as the Pan America was coming out right when I was hitting the road on my first Harley. Harley loaned me one to, I guess, see what I could do with it. And in 3 weeks, I put 5,000 miles.
Wow.
Then it was like, oh, she rides. And
Yeah,
then like, she can ride the dirt a little bit. And ever since then, it's just been, it is a totally new space. Like, I've ridden dirt bikes and done a lot of seat time, especially like when I was overseas. But this is a whole new world. I have a big bike to go off-road. So I get excited about those new things. It's new community, it's new friends, it's new stories to tell, and it's a new way of connecting with people around the world. So we took that, rode Pan Americas all over the country. I've gotten the pleasure of riding up to Sturgis with Kaylin on Pan Americas. Yeah. We've done a ton of stuff with them. And then just recently rode Pan Americas to the Taj Mahal.
Wow.
Which was really cool. So doing that, it's just like changed the game. And now going into 2024, going to hit the dirt a lot harder and with some skills.
But you were saying it's a little tough because you really love your ST.
I know. So I have both now.
But you have both. You're
I'm
spoiled.
not getting rid of it. I didn't trade in exactly. Yeah, I absolutely love the Lowrider ST. I think Harley did an amazing job with it. And it has been a fantastic bike. And but the Lowrider S is still one of my favorite models.
Yeah.
And especially as a coach, when I talk to women who are getting into it, I'm like, and they're considering that bike, they're kind of weighing their options. I'm like, you won't be without power. You won't ever be without a bike that can get you all around the country, because I've done it.
But the power in that Pan America's
That's true.
not too bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They are strong.
I mean, we rode them
Yeah.
and we had a great time on them.
We did.
Yes. But
We both got some bruises.
we
didn't
were, yeah, we did. We were talking about it, and if we had a second bike, that would be the bike,
Yeah.
and we'd have two pairs of wheels. We'd have a 50-50 and a street, and just swap those out. And
Yeah.
Because when we got out on the road, I dug it. You know, it was like I dug the dirt, but I dug the fact that they are comfortable on the road.
They really are.
You
yeah,
know?
I'd probably do some soft bags and not the big cans
Right.
on it, but not for your injury, but just because.
Well, for me, a Pan America after that trip, my version of how that bike would be great for me is like you pack it up and you go on a journey, whether you're going to Sturgis, you can be on the road. And if you see a dirt road or something that you want, you can go off into the weeds. I personally wouldn't be a single track guy like our buddy Randy.
Yeah.
You know, I just, that's gnarly and you got to
Yep.
really have some skill.
Yeah.
You know, so that dirt roads, it's a good traveling bike.
Well, I was amazed at how it rode, and I was on a pre-production. It was Josh's bike first, but he didn't have the auto leveling or whatever that was called, right?
Or the legs.
Or the legs. So we swapped out, but the cans on the bike, part of the reason I wouldn't have them out here is because it's actually wider than my bagger.
Right.
So I didn't realize that. And I'm splitting traffic, and these guys are in the comms going, what the hell are you doing?
Well, I'm behind you and I'm like, dude, you're getting close. You're getting close.
like,
No,
no.
I'm fine. I'm like, if you don't move 5 inches of your bag, you're going to run into this guy's bumper.
And there was we went over this hill and we had to go up a hill and there was a gate, a cattle gate.
Yeah.
And right at the edge, there was like 2 or 3 feet to get by. And then it was a cliff. And Randy's like, all right, take one. We'll take your saddlebags off and you go by. And I'm like, I'll take the saddlebags. I'm going to walk by. You're going to take the bike. You know, he
Hey,
went through.
I
and
tried
he-
it, but I just
he
didn't
tried-
get the apex right, and I just stuffed it into the side of the hill.
What month was it? I'm going to look for that video.
And
of me
Josh,
almost
it
just
was
infinite.
February. It was my birthday. And
That's
then,
amazing.
yeah, it happened on my broken leg happened on the birthday. But
On your birthday.
yeah, Josh went around the hillside and he made it, almost laid it down, but he did a
He
good job.
drops in. You got to see the video.
Those hard cases are no joke.
Yeah.
The first bike that Harley gave me, I had hard cases.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of off-road, but not a lot, mostly highway. But at that off-road playground I ran into, there was these wood posts
Oh.
to entry, and I learned real quick that
That doesn't count.
Whoop.
yeah, wait a second. Oops,
Well,
it's a
And
little
then you let
wider.
him down. It's heavy.
I
Exactly.
do like them because there's so much room in them.
Yeah.
But functionality for me, if I want to split traffic, and I mean the suspension on those bikes, just the power band,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And then Justin allowed me to do a swap with him when we were in New Mexico, and I had to get used to where the shift was, but it was I was back on it, and I loved it.
It's fun. And initially they didn't have many options. Like those
Right.
hard bags, it was they do have some soft ones, but of course now with over time in true Harley fashion, there's
Right.
tons of customizable things. There's so many third party vendors that are putting out amazing products for this bike. So you got options, which is cool.
So
Able to
we
see.
always get the question of what is our favorite ride. And so maybe if you think about when you were in Vietnam or some of the different countries, was there a country that you liked better than another?
I mean, Vietnam was incredible to ride through. And most recently, my new favorite top country is India. But I do have a pretty favorite ride that I did while I was living in Indonesia, if you guys want to hear
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Talk about it.
Cool. So when I was in Indonesia, I had partnered with the Lidas and had been riding pretty regularly with the local group there. And then we were also starting this group called the Canggu Sunday Ride. So Canggu was the little village town we all lived in. And every Sunday we'd go ride to volcanoes or waterfalls, and all the rental companies started referring people to us because we every Sunday were getting out and exploring and not just doing the touristy stuff. So we had got all these friends together and started meeting all these people. Everything was kind of sparking. It was early on in all our friendships and stuff. And there was a massive earthquake on the island over, and where we felt it, we're like in buildings and things are shaking, and we're like, whoa, what just happened? So we rush outside because that's what we got to do because nothing's really structurally sound over there.
Right.
And then you get your bearings. And then as news started pouring in, all these villages on the neighboring island had been just absolutely demolished. Wow. So some of my guy friends, and pretty early on, maybe within a couple days of it happening, had gotten over there and helped deliver supplies. So the Lidas chapter there, we got together and we raised funds at the local motorcycle Deus Ex Machina they have there on the island. They have a Sunday sessions night, and we got food donations, cash donations, digital money donations. We were reaching out to our network across the entire world of people like, we need help. These people need our help. And then digitally, we sent to a bunch of groups that were supplying aid there that locally and knew the area. But all the cash that we raised, we're like, well, what do we do with this now? So we jumped on our bikes. We rode across Bali. We just did an overnight ferry where we slept on the boat and like took the bikes over to the next island. And then we got an Airbnb in a town where we could we hired these two brothers with a truck. We bought a literal ton of rice. By that point, it was a little over a week, so their basic necessities were covered. We started bringing comforts like soap and feminine products and toys for the kids and things that were just like a little bit more comforting than anything. Mm-hmm. We loaded up this truck and we on our bikes rode with the truck out to these villages and started handing stuff out. Nice. There was a really funny point where we're like stuck on a hill and it was like, this is not the way, the truck's too loaded down. We got to turn around. And like the two guys that were my good friends, like it solidified our friendship even more. It was an experience where we got to help people. And it was that motorcycle community coming together and making sure that we could help people who needed our help. And that was one of the coolest rides, wild adventures. Like other earthquakes happened while we were there, smaller, but like just giving back and us coming together as a group.
That's a great story.
I mean, what's not to love about that, right? Yeah. Like you're giving back and helping and supporting. And we did a ride with Aaron Baker. He's a recovering quadriplegic, and it was like, let's ride up to your hometown, and we filmed it. Go watch it. It's great. The series is great, but it actually became more of like a spiritual journey with him. Because to watch him, he was told by the doctors, you're never walking again. You're never, no. And he decided to do yes. And to see him on this trike he built with a 3/4 helmet, and he's in pain, things are happening. And every time you roll up to him, he's just like a big smile. And to hear their story and what they went through, it just became more of this journey. And I'm sure that's what it became for you guys as you started thinking about how to raise things and the process. And then now you're in it. Mm-hmm. Now you're over there trying to help, and you're showing people, and little children are probably going, right. Great. And you're delivering goods and health to people. Yeah. There's nothing better than giving back.
I think that's what I love about you guys too, is all these stories you have and charities that you have been able to help, because that's the community side of things. Like we have a vast network of people that we're connected to simply because of the things that we do, the way we live our lives too. And that's the only commonality you need. It's not language. It's not anything else overseas. It's just, that love of two wheels and good hearts, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's your favorite place in the States you've been to? So that wasn't even a ride. That was a ride that gave you charity, allowed you to give back to community. So it was the motorcycles brought that through that. But what about a ride?
Just like a good ride?
What's your, like in the States, and like, it's hard for us to. Yeah. So I know it's hard because there's so many good rides, but.
It's tough. I mean, the longest ride I did was when I took my bike and hit all four corners of the United States.
That's cool.
And did that solo. So it was like, kind of like I say when I'm traveling, is you're never really traveling alone. You meet people along
Right,
the
right.
way. You attract a crowd eventually. Like, and I got to catch up with a lot of friends I hadn't seen in a few years too, because I had been traveling.
How
on the
long were you
cruise.
gone on that one?
I lived on my bike for 2.5 months.
Wow. That's awesome.
And a great opportunity, and something I lined up with how I work and everything, like online. So it was a perfect opportunity. I had people helping me, which was fantastic. I'm super grateful for. But that ability to just go with the flow and like roll into small towns like Anaconda, Montana, roll into a trailer park,
Right.
and these guys being like, "Who's this asshole on a Harley that just rolled up?" And then I take my helmet off and they're like, "Oh, it's a girl."
Yeah.
And then my buddies Gary
So
and Keith,
sometimes
we
it
keep
works.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just get like, yeah, get a wig under your helmet. It helps. It goes a long way. But yeah, but being a girl, it definitely like it made me a little bit more approachable to people, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But in this situation it was good. I met those guys, spent one night hanging out by the river where they go fishing, and like have those friendships and those stories from all across the country. You know,
Right.
that was one instance, but I just said, screw it. I'm going to pack everything up. I'm going to throw things in storage. People are going to help me store stuff. And I'm just going to live off this bike for the undetermined amount of time until I have to find a home. But this was my homeless area.
Right. That's a nice way to be homeless if you're going to be homeless.
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure. It was by choice for sure.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was an experience that I can't trade. And there's so many stories from that where I did catch up with friends and get to ride with them a bit and ride through like Stanley, Idaho, and hit hot springs and camp out in the hot springs overnight.
You remember
and
the
stuff.
name. So Stanley, I know Stanley, Idaho.
Great place, right?
Yes, but it, you know, Vic was here earlier. You
Mhm,
met
yeah.
him. He's doing a Four Corners this year.
Is
So
he?
I may
Cool.
have to reach out and see
Yeah.
how you went, but he's trying to do it in like, I don't know, a week or something.
Which I think is possible. But even with 2.5 months, that's the thing always with all these trips is you're like, I wish I had more time. You find yourself.
A week
Racing
seems
the
like
clock.
it's pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, it
Four
seems like
Corners?
it's pushing it to me too.
I mean,
but-
I can in a week I'll go to Four Corners,
But
you know, New
he-
Mexico.
Yeah. he does like 1,100 miles a day, 1,300. He's
Does
okay
he?
with that stuff.
Cool.
You gotta
That's like
learn
the
by-
pace of the dude we met at the Florida Keys that went from Mexico to the Keys in like a day.
Yeah,
You're just ripping and riding, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. So he's doing that, and that is like, okay, now I've got to go freeway, boom, 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 to get
Yeah.
things done. But you did what we do. We wish we did it for 2.5 months in a row, but we can't.
Yeah.
But that's the flavor we like. We love getting out in Stanley, Idaho's of the world
meeting
and
people.
meeting people and being able to showcase them on the channel and have a story being told and learn something new.
Yeah.
And people, when you get out into the smaller towns, you know, there's a genuine discussion that happens. It's not this politics and all the stuff that goes on that we see
Yeah.
in mainstream. It's more about, let's just kick back, have a beer, and share a story, you know?
There are storytellers all over the country, all over the world. So that
Absolutely.
guy that you just mentioned, Josh, he rode from Mexico to the homecoming, right?
Yo,
he met us
that's
at
what
the
it was.
homecoming.
Did he really?
That's what I'm thinking. And he was
Oh,
he
he
knew
did.
us. He knew 2LaneLIVE, and he
Mhm.
had to ride to homecoming, and he wanted to meet us
Yeah.
And I think
Solo.
he like
from
so
Mexico.
from homecoming we went to Miami, and then from Miami
No,
No,
we or
that
not
was
Miami.
Daytona.
that was Daytona.
Oh, homecoming. Gotcha. But
Milwaukee.
from Daytona is where we went to the Keys, and that's where we met him at the Keys.
Huh?
I'm thinking of a different guy, but there was a guy that we met physically at the Florida Keys who left from Mexico and got
Yeah.
there in like a day.
Is that what it
With
was?
the half
Yeah.
helmet, and he got the visor,
Yeah.
you know,
From Mexico.
gold wing or
But
something.
I think
yeah,
your guy's a different guy.
There's a couple of there's guys.
there's a couple guys,
Yeah.
you know, people of the world.
But thank God you
yeah.
got your eyes fixed because it's still helping your brain.
Yes.
And before I forget, I did find the gate crossing video. Let's see, the Pan Am. It's not.
You can
He went really wide.
It wasn't focusing there, but that was a fun day.
That's great.
And in my defense,
Yes,
at least I tried it. A and
Mhm.
B, I hadn't not been on a dirt bike in like, that's not a dirt bike, but I hadn't been on a dirt bike in like 25 years.
Well, my problem was I
You
was
had been
treating it
on a
like it
dirt
was my
bike
500
3 weeks ago.
and Randy was behind me on one of the trails, I think in like Texas Canyon, going down. He caught me leaning the bike and putting a foot out, going a little fast around some of the flatter turns. And I just hear in the helmet, don't do that. If you like your legs, don't do that. You know, but they were fun bikes.
I loved it. I could not believe the handling of them in the dirt, like that heavy of a bike.
They're a
you could
strong
toss
bike.
around. I loved it.
It's impressive. It's been super awesome to get to see what it can do and kind of like test that a little bit. Maybe get on the edge of what it can do a little bit the last year.
I mean, we test what road glides can do. We've been on so many trips where we're riding and we're across the country, and out of the corner of my eyes, I'll see a dirt road or something weird. And next thing I know, this guy is, let's go this way. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to go now. I got to go do this. But they're pretty good.
Obviously the scenic byway.
Yeah, the scenic byway.
I love dirt. What can I say?
That's good. I mean,
we were just to tell you how much he loves dirt. He's done a hill climb in Bakersfield on his street glide. Then we were in the rain in the farmlands of Bakersfield. We're with a bunch of guys on our baggers and all of a sudden everyone looks, he's out in the cornfield stuck.
I ran out of runway.
Because he wanted to go out in the mud and he's on his brand new bike.
It's kind of like a guy I know that tried to drive over a bush.
yeah, right. He's like, I got
It
this.
didn't work out.
You don't got this.
And it's like, there he is stuck. So we're all stopped and we're out there helping him push. And had to go to a car wash.
It was nice and it was great. And then I didn't, you're going pretty fast. And then all of a sudden I see it. I'm either going to have to take this berm and just jump out into the street, which I'm not doing, or lay on the brakes. So I lay on the brakes and I started going faster because it was so muddy. I was sliding faster than I was riding.
On an
And
800-pound bag.
I'm like, oh, there's a puddle. I'm going to go into that and just stop me.
So when the pavement ends, the adventure begins, right?
Yeah, pretty
Right?
much, yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of our motto for the next year.
Yes.
As well. So I think that's something that, again, even on my Lowrider S, there was some sketchy stuff. But if you're doing these long hauls, you find yourself in these situations. Or when I was leaving Stanley, there were a bunch of fires in Montana. So the major highways got closed down and I got rerouted solo on these dirt scenic byways through the mountains that were beautiful, but I had just turned in the Pan Am and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I live on this bike right now. This is my house. I'm taking off-road.
Right.
Well, it's like Route 66. We followed an app that we got, and in one place in Texas, it was like we're cruising. All of a sudden, it's a dirt road.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear him going, wait a second, the road's ending. The road up. Well, we're riding dirt for a while,
Which is awesome. I think those are times you remember for sure of those trips.
So we didn't do this early. So where do they find you?
Where?
Instagram?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram at the Maggie Hicks. Somebody
Okay.
took Maggie Hicks and I couldn't wrestle it away from him. So the Maggie Hicks.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody has it and I've messaged them about it, but
Not
That's funny because
yeah.
someone had 2LaneLIVE when we first did ours and they wouldn't give it up.
okay.
Yeah.
How'd you get it then?
Well, they had TWO
TWO.
before we decided to make the number 2. And then like 3 weeks ago, I get a DM from a page that some random name. He goes, hey, the name's yours if you want it. What? Because he changed his name. He goes, 2LaneLIVE. A little late, bud, but thank you.
We should still
now you
take
guys
it.
are a thing. He's ready to.
Yeah.
Now you just told everyone.
I'm doing it right now.
So,
they got the big bucks now.
I'm not a stalker, but I try to find out a little bit about the guests that come in. So on your page, on your Instagram page, you have something there for raising money for suicide.
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
So that was a fundraiser. I mean, the organization exists, but a fundraiser that was started by my friend's sister. And in 21, when I hit the road on my lowrider, there was a friend of mine, Joshua Parker, who got in with Harley, shot some model year stuff over the years. We've all kind of got into that. And we rode all that summer. We went to Yellowstone several times together. We were riding buddies, me and him and our friend Thomas. And we called ourselves the Fellowship because we had a Legolas, I was Aragorn, and we had our Gimli, or not Gimli, one of them. I'm trying to remember now, but it's all blur. But we had our Fellowship, and it was a rough time in my friend's life, but he was the happiest his family said he'd ever been that summer. And we were creating content, so we have all these photos and memories, great times. And then this summer, unfortunately, he did kill himself. And it was super sad. It was impactful to the community. And it was tough because I hadn't really been in communication with him for almost a year. I'd seen him at an event in September, and it was just getting to a point where he was kind of on that self-destructive path anyways. And so what I loved about him is he had such a wild abandon when we rode. It was like, we're living this life only once. And I think we related on that level. And then it started getting to a point where it was like, maybe some of this is running from some problems that needed to be dealt with. And it was tough to watch in a friend. It was tough to get that close to somebody and then lose them. And yeah, it's a fundraiser that I think we all need to check back in with our friends. Like, you never know what somebody's going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that I think we forget, people are tough. People are badasses in this industry and what we do. And sometimes the most baddest ass of them are struggling.
Yeah.
They really are. So
maybe the message on that one is it's the holidays, right?
yeah, definitely.
And a lot of times suicide rates and different things happen, mental health issues more during the holidays.
Yeah.
So I would just ask all of you that, whether you have a friend that's in that situation or not, if they're just a friend, as your gift to them, reach out and say hello.
Yeah, definitely.
Just make
check
a
in
call.
with people. Yeah. This has been actually a great time that, especially after everything that happened this summer, I'm really grateful. I went riding with some people I hadn't seen in over a year just last weekend on Sunday, and we live in the same city. And I have really taken the time, I think, extra this end of the season to try to reconnect with people that I haven't talked to or seen in a while. Friends, we had a Friendsgiving, and, just check back in with the homies for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And even the ones that you don't think may be struggling, just give it all your buddies a
Well, and
call.
I showed you a message today. I put up a post on my page from Keith Sarlus, who's a friend of ours, and it was about suicide and gave a phone number. And so, and we had a message back saying, you saved our lives, 2LaneLIVE, saved my life at 2LaneLIVE. And it's that fellowship. It's that positive, videos, the things that we can do and talk about the positive things that happen with us that help people.
Yeah.
And we have had more outreach when we've said this 1,000 times. When we started this, it was really to inspire people to kind of get out and see the country.
Yeah.
And the stories that we get, I sent a bunch of people a story that Lance and I got from a entire family that is now back riding because of our channel. And the reason they got there is their father and their grandfather fell down, hit his head, and was in the hospital, and they were watching our videos, and he ended up passing away. But to see how much enjoyment he got because he couldn't ride, and he felt like he was riding through our videos, inspired them all to get back on their bikes and buy some new bikes. And so it's completely reversed on us. And
that's definitely interesting and great. And we have that all the time. And that's why
crazy.
We keep doing it. It's like, we had a guy walk up to us at the homecoming and say, he was so excited, and he was an older guy, and his wife and kids were there, and he was just going nuts. And they're like, our dad, he's just like, he loves you guys. He said, I have 10,000 miles on my couch watching you guys.
That's awesome. That's a good way to put it.
Made him happy. We like that,
But reach out to your friends, say hello. It's time to do that for all of us, family members as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's what I liked. I think you shared that story with me when we were out in New Mexico, and that really hit me too. Cause it was like, sometimes there's burnout in creativity and in sharing everything that you're doing and living the lifestyle. And, I like that you talked about, going on the road. Everybody's got stories to share, and it's cool to find those people. And I love that you guys are doing that. And I wish I had done more of that, even on my cross country road trip. I was dabbling in creating video content, but I think that's something that's super powerful, and it inspires people to stay and do those things, or watch them, or, watch from afar, and really does have an impact.
Well, you're still 26 and we're 57 and 60. And so you got a lot of time to get some more stories.
But it is cool to what you just said. It is really awesome to the journey. Yeah. Then you meet the people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've been sitting in a restaurant, cameras on, interviewing, and we're talking to a grandmother, from Germany who now owns the West Side Lilos in Seligman, and her daughter's there working with her, and the family legacy. And they tell us these stories. My favorite is when we go on people in small towns and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to talk on camera. I'm not good at it." And they do it. And we're like blown away. We're all sitting there going, "What a great story," you know, and they talk great. They love, everyone's a storyteller.
Yeah.
So Matt Laidlaw just commented he's been following Maggie for a while and she's a badass creator and writer. Maybe he may not have said
Awesome.
badass,
Hey, Matt.
but he,
Yeah. I don't know, Matt, you know, you could have
he
invited
said
us.
she's a rad writer, not badass.
You could have invited all of us to your studio and you could have had all of us sitting in your place
Yeah,
right now
Matt, what's
talking
the
with
jam?
you. But we don't get
Especially,
the invite.
But wait a minute.
especially after a comment like this, right
What?
there.
2Lane saved my life. When this last year in Arizona, like what? How bad was
On our
that?
rain journey?
Jeez. But wait a minute. We don't want to go to his studio.
He's been in our studio.
Right.
So should he come back? Matt,
He
you
needs
want
to
to come back?
We gotta
because
have him for
then
round two.
He gets to stream it.
Matt, come on back to the studio.
Matt, we're here. Come on over.
And just so you know, whoever out there just stole 2LaneLIVE, you're not that cool.
What happened?
So I made it. I made the new account. I went to the next step. It let me do it. At the next step, it was like having an error. And it said, "Sorry, this username is taken." So
Oh.
You shouldn't have said it on the air. Ralph, give us back the
me.
yes. Ralph, so, what's his name? SoCal Squatcher.
SoCal Squatch.
Come on, Squatch. Give it back to us.
Yep.
Your studio is way better than I want to come.
We
Yeah.
definitely want you back,
Round
Matt.
Do it.
two.
Pretty cool. So let's talk about kind of where you're headed.
Cool. Yeah. There's a lot on the plate right now, which is cool.
Definitely good.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I feel like this has been a fantastic year for everybody in terms of their relationships built and getting to form new friendships and stuff. And that's led to a whole new year of dirt. So I'm going to be riding into 2024 on a new Pan America special, and going to be creating with my partner who's Warthog Bike on Instagram. You can check him out.
And he's a cool dude.
Super cool,
He's
super
all right.
talented.
He's all right.
He loves sand. Go harass him about it.
Yeah, what's up with that sand stuff?
We can talk about sand in a minute, but his YouTube channel that he's been working on, we're going to do a takeover. We're starting fresh. We're going to be adding new content. We're going to be the way we roam.
The way we
If
roam.
you
I
wanna
like
find us.
that.
Yep.
Have you taken that name? Because if you
Yeah,
haven't,
no,
someone's gonna
nobody
steal
can
it.
snag it. We got it.
We do have it for sure.
So check
That's
out
good.
Way We Roam on YouTube. You'll get to see Justin's face a lot. But we're going to start putting content out in February. We're canning stuff right now. We're kind of adventuring a lot. If you really want to get a sneak peek on the content we're going to be putting out, you got to join the HD app. I know you guys already mentioned it, but
Yeah.
we are partnering with Harley-Davidson on our first
Is there a
little teaser. There's some things, so just get on the app and start paying attention to what we're
is
up
there
to.
a group thing, or is there,
We don't
is
have
it
a
titled
group.
yet?
Yeah, we don't have a group yet. So in the community, I think you actually have to go to find people
Okay.
and search for us, Maggie Hicks and Justin Edelman, and Harley-Davidson will be from their page.
Okay.
I think we did
yeah.
6 great little videos that are on the app in the group 2LaneLIVE. So we're all partnered up with the app. We think it's a great thing. You should go there. And what's the deal? If they go and they
I don't
get
know.
on our group,
Something could happen.
if you go on our group and comment in any of the
By
2LaneLIVE
December
videos,
28th, something could happen.
Something could
I don't
happen.
know.
But
Yeah.
if you don't go,
you won't know.
You won't know.
okay.
But now you've got these great things, dirt stuff, all this stuff happening this year. Have we kind of talked about maybe doing a trip together?
We've been floating some ideas around, and I'm really excited for next year because we've gotten to ride together finally,
Right.
which was
Yeah.
a great opportunity. That was super fun. Now I know you guys can actually ride, so
Yeah.
we're willing to plan something with you guys.
We might do a dirt
know-
street adventure.
We know Galen likes the off-road on his cruiser.
So it'll be you guys in the dirt, me on the street, Galen right there in the middle. He'll like
Exactly.
jump on both sides of the
But yes, we'll do that.
We just got to keep an eye on him. We know he's
Right.
going to be tempted to follow us, so you might have to rein him in a little.
Well, he could go on the dirt, and one of you can go on his bike, and we can swap off. And
There we go.
Well, I know Justin has this app that he can look at every road in America, so he just needs to find a simple fire road. For him.
There you go. He can do that. He'll
Yeah.
get you set up.
I mean, that would be cool if Justin did find that, and there was, hey, you can bring your baggers on that. We can connect for a few miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the channel.
Yeah.
So what's kind of the format? You're going to have obviously some killer rides that the two of you
Yeah.
are doing, right?
Yeah.
I saw a couple things that he was showing and you guys were showing us earlier. Like, I think you got so many different avenues that you can use here, like how you ride and how you pack and how
Yeah.
it's going to be great for the ADV and for other enthusiasts as well.
Yeah. So what's great is I feel like I've got a pretty new rider audience as well. And Justin has, and people who are curious about the Pan America being new and curious about ADV riding altogether. We're new to it. We didn't come from 10 years of background in this or anything like that. We have some experience, but we're learning along the way. So that's what we want to share with people.
That's
So
awesome.
we want to share the adventures that we are going on and make it accessible with routes and show people exactly what we're doing if they want to try. We're going to give our opinions on them so people can kind of judge what they need in order experience level to tackle these things. We want to share how we pack for these adventures, why you might want to ditch the hard cases,
Right.
the sales, you know,
Yeah.
maybe you don't want those, we're going to give like our honest opinions about these things, but also come from this place of like, we're learning along the way too. And we're going to ride with really interesting people. I think that's my favorite thing about it, and help tell their stories as well. So we think everybody has a story, and we want to do some real rider stories along the way and get to ride with you guys and do some filming as well and tell a little bit more, share the rides, but then have some videos that are just like showcasing really cool people that we know and have met along the way.
So you think that launches February?
We're looking at February. We're going to stick to it. We're saying it right here. You heard it.
Say it.
February.
February.
Okay, so
look
then in
for it.
February, we should have you and Justin back on
Be
at
awesome.
the launch. We can play when you do your first YouTube video that's
Yes.
in the new format,
Cool.
and let's figure out how we collaborate that stuff,
I'm totally down. This would be awesome.
right?
And we'd love to come back in and chat
Absolutely.
about our story. And then you guys still got to corner Justin, talk to him about his life story.
Oh, yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
we're
For
gonna-
sure.
And I mean, I've seen some stuff that you guys have just shown us a little bit,
yeah.
and I mean, Justin's a incredible photographer, really understands, and so the cinematic feel that 2Lane has. I mean, you guys have the drones. You have the. It's gonna.
I think people will be entertained.
I think they're gonna really like it.
Yeah.
I do.
So you're going to launch it in February.
Yes.
If you do launch it in February, do it on February 5th.
Okay.
That's my birthday.
Okay.
This would be a good.
So we can throw a birthday
Or we
party.
could do
Okay.
November 12th, as long as we're asking for birthday gifts.
Maybe we'll just have to do an episode. We'll launch the episode. No, we got to do it sooner than that. We
I'm
can't
kidding.
have our
No.
episode come out that late.
He just
All
asked
right.
for stuff for him, so I've got to
Right.
get something for me. So
We'll
maybe
find
a
out something.
T-shirt
No,
on the
a
12th.
that wasn't for me. That's
think we
I
can do that
want to be able to put
only
good luck
pans.
on them.
We're gonna get you an OnlyPans shirt.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nobody take that idea. It's already done.
OnlyFans.
We've locked it in. OnlyPans is coming.
Yes. That's
how's
awesome.
it going over there, Mozart?
Wait for my mic. There it is. It's going good. And we did actually have some comments saying us, her, Danger Dan,
Oh.
everyone else doing the Mexico peyote run.
Oh,
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Dude, I would trust Danger Dan down in Mexico.
I would.
I think he can
Well,
lead the
was,
way, right?
he was telling us some
He
stories
has
about
some
down
stories.
in Mexico. I was like, oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I like his story about going through the tunnel where the lady was trying to tell him, don't go right now because traffic's coming. And they couldn't understand her and
Yeah.
they went. And then he was like in the tunnel going, there's hanging light bulbs and that's it in the tunnel. And he's like, once he got into it, he's like, now I know she was trying to tell us, don't go.
Don't do it.
But they did fine. They beat the traffic. So,
well, that was after a little peyote button.
Yeah.
so maybe
I
the
mean, let's
hanging
be fair.
the hanging lights
Yeah,
might
true.
not have
Right.
been there.
They could not have been there. They don't have.
If you guys
He had a little
down.
peyote button.
for Mexico, I'm always down. for
I-
Mexico.
I'm down. He's not so down, but he wasn't down for Canada. And I have to
Oh,
tell you,
Not
if
that I
you-
wasn't down for Canada, but I there's so many things here I want to see.
it's
And
true.
I went,
It's
and-
true.
And then Canada was amazing. It was beautiful.
And the people so friendly.
I'm not
right?
saying that you were down on Canada. I'm just saying you weren't like,
I wasn't like
Yay.
going, yay, right. I wasn't like, yip,
But-
yip, let's go.
if you ask me what my favorite rides are, that's one of my top 3.
Cool.
It was bar none spectacular.
I haven't gotten to ride up there,
Oh.
and I'm definitely going to make some plans.
You'd
based
like
on
it
what
for
you
sure.
I
guys
grew up
do.
in
For
Salt
sure.
Lake City, and so we have the Rockies, right?
Yeah.
But the Canadian Rockies are just a different game.
They're from
It's a
Canada.
completely different game.
Way more friendly.
Boom.
Mountains, eh?
I mean, it's I when I like a movie, I
Yeah.
watch it 20 times through
Okay.
the years
Yeah.
because and then I see something different every time in this movie. And I'm always like, wow, I didn't know that. Same thing when we go riding.
Yeah.
I can go to the Grand Canyon 900 times. I can go anywhere. And it's like, it's always different because something, whether it's weather or people or
But movies aren't real. They're fake. You know that.
what? No way.
What we do on motorcycles is real.
So it's just like, you can always have a new adventure. Like people
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
oh, the I-40 or I-15, it's the desert across and it's just yuck. And I go, were you there at 6 a.m? Were you there at 5 p.m? Were you there during a storm? It
And-
changes.
What part of life you were in too.
Yeah.
That's something that I think
And we've all,
has an effect. Like if you've done something a while back, like I went to Yellowstone 3 times in the summer of 21 because I thought it was amazing.
right,
But every trip was so different, even in the same summer, the people I was with, the weather, the mood I was in,
Right.
like what time of summer I was I on the like beginning high? Were we
Right.
ending the season
Right.
kind of thing? Like 100% believe in that.
I mean,
too.
we've been on
Yeah.
I-40 so many times. There's times we've been on it. We're going, wow, check out the shadows. And it's just, you never know.
There's
until
an
you go.
alpaca farm
Yeah,
out near Kingman too.
really.
One of these days I'm going to get on there and try to check that out. as well.
Alpaca farm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
Have
I
you
think
guys
that's
seen
the
it?
adventure that you get. Like most people, if they see weather's rolling in, they're not going to go.
Yeah.
And we always say we got to go because after that storm
Ooh.
is some of the best riding you'll ever have, and the clouds and the structure that you get, and the smell of the rain coming off the pavement or the sagebrush that's out in the. I mean, it just, and you get some of the most iconic shots from that.
I mean, one of the times I'll never forget was the afternoon him and I were riding from Cameron, Arizona to Williams, but we were going along the rim of the Grand Canyon
That's cool.
in a full blizzard.
Oh, wow.
And it's like 4:30, it's getting dark, but we're riding along and we're blown away because we're riding in like 4 inches of powder.
Yeah.
And we're looking down in the Grand Canyon. The clouds are like kind of separating for a few minutes, and these rainbows are in the light and the set, and we're like, we didn't film any of it.
Yeah.
We were like in the moment, just like, whoa, this is
We couldn't. We had to get
Yeah.
down to
with those
Williams. It
moments.
was.
yeah.
That's why I want to do more riding in New Mexico. Because when you see those New Mexico storms roll in, like we kind of got a tail end of that.
Yeah.
But by the time we got to where we were headed, there were rainbows and you could see those storms all across the plains. Like,
But stay up
I'd like to do more of
north
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Better riding up there.
yes.
I mean,
I did not even understand that until we got there.
right.
Yeah.
We've been in the South. I've
Okay.
been there, and it's just
We were like, New Mexico, we don't really need
Yeah.
to go. And then we went and Jochen took us on the loop.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I
Yeah.
love about riding with new people too.
Yeah.
Like some people are solo riders, which I totally understand as well too. But I think it's really cool when you're riding with people who show you their backyard or those unique opportunities.
Right.
I think are great to take.
That happened with us with Letitia. She took us through Kentucky and she's rides like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And she took us all over and we had a great time. You know?
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
That's something even overseas I look for.
Yeah.
We look for people to tell us the way. We want to be guided by people who know the lay of the land because they're going to show
Right.
you the best stuff. They're going to be like, don't do the main highway. We got you. We're
well.
gonna show
I
you."
mean, that's the way you find the cool places. Like we're novice, and we run down. We want to see Tombstone,
Yep.
and we stopped at the Harley-Davidson dealership in Tucson,
Yeah.
and they're like, "No, here's how you need to go." And by the way, don't stay in Tombstone, stay down in Bisbee. We're like, what's Bisbee?
Right.
And we run down there and we're like, holy shit, like this is a cool little mining town that's out of, I mean, throwback. If you want to see one, that's the place to go. And there are people out on the street dressed up and singing and playing pianos and like,
But remember the
Wow.
moment we come around the hill
Yeah.
and there's Bisbee and we're on the comms. We're just going, what? You know, like,
That's so cool.
But-
Bisbee's on our list right now.
oh,
you
you haven't
gotta-
been?
I haven't been, and we
Oh.
were like, should we do it for New Year's? It's kind of a trek. We're
You
like,
got to see it.
it's been like on our list. So
and have
cool to hear.
breakfast at the Bisbee Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Yes.
Really good.
And it's a haunted
Um,
town. It's a mountain. The houses and places are all over the mountain. Very old. In fact, in the movie Tombstone, Sheriff Behan walked into town in one of the scenes and said, I just
Nice.
got back from Bisbee.
Okay,
Sees
nice.
on the
So-
movies again.
Yeah, the movies, yeah.
No, he watches the movie. He's got time for it, I guess.
Right.
I don't believe him.
No, he does.
He does.
But
Before I started riding motorcycles, I watched a lot of movies.
Yeah,
no, he
man.
watches them right in that room over there.
Yeah, that's what he's doing all day.
But we'll be on the road, and we're down in Phoenix, headed to Tucson to go up to Mount Lemmon. And one of our followers is like, hey, I just saw you on the road. You should go to Goldfield while you're here and up to Tortilla Flat. We're like, okay, let's switch the route. Then we ended up meeting the owner of Tortilla Flat. And he's like, where are you headed? And we said, we're going. He said, no, you need to do Salt River Canyon.
Yeah.
So we changed the whole ride just based on people telling us.
I think that's a really important
love
thing
that.
when traveling.
We
Even-
plan our trip and we know the first night where we're going. After that, we'll turn left instead of right sometimes.
Yeah.
Whatever we feel.
And I think that's cool too, because like there's so many people you meet on the road that it's like they're not on bikes in that moment, but they see you and they have this nostalgic, like my grandpa used to ride, or like motorcycles bring back memories for people
yeah.
and stuff, and have this nostalgic feel, especially with the Harley-Davidson brand. And it's been so cool. No matter where you go, whether people are riders or not, they'll be like, they want to help you.
Right.
Where are you guys going? Where are you headed? Where do you want to eat? Like
Right.
all those things.
Well, we're at one of the world. I don't know what we were at Hoover Dam, and there was a couple from India,
Yeah.
and they're gazing at and we pull up, park, and we're looking, and they come over. They stop looking at this wonder, and they're like looking at our Harleys, and next thing you know, Galen's like, "You want to sit on it?" And they're, yeah, and they get on the bike and pictures, and that was a highlight to them. And
Yeah.
for us, we're like going, "Wow, this is great."
Yeah.
You know?
Those are awesome moments. I love that. That's super cool.
Well, we're actually just really cool.
You guys,
So cool, guys.
you guys are
Such cool
celebrities
guys.
around the world now.
Of course.
Did they take any video? Are you going viral over there right
Uh,
now?
probably.
I'm sure we are. Our people don't tell us because they think we'll get big heads.
But
Ah,
funny,
got it,
fun
yeah.
things happen. Like we were standing on the walking bridge, the Navajo Bridge.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere. Two blue road guides ride in, and the guys get off, and they're like, "Oh, wow. We were just watching you guys on the airplane, and now we're here, and
You are.
And
we're all taking
Here
pictures."
you are.
when we got there, before they pulled up, there was a couple that had been traveling all over the U.S. from India
Yes.
that were in the Sprinter van, the big old camera with them, and they took pictures with your cowboy hat on your bike, and they were stoked.
And they gave us candy from India.
That's
you know,
awesome.
20 minutes before that.
So magic happens on motorcycles.
And having ridden in India, we went to India this summer to go ride in the Himalayas, and the Harley scene over there, I think I told you guys about this, like they are diehard. When you are a Harley rider, like it's a whole nother level. And they invite you to things, they invite you into their homes. Like we had dinners with some amazing people that were
Wow.
so friendly towards us, and were so stoked of some of the things they saw from us doing Harley adventures over here. But they welcomed us in and showed us really cool things. So
That's
like, you guys
awesome.
are here. We're gonna like not only they put us on Pan Ams, we got on Pan Ams to go ride to the Taj Mahal, but then it was like, now we're gonna show you this, and we're gonna send our best guy who's in charge of experience. He's gonna come ride with you on a road glide, and everything you guys are doing, he's doing on a road glide in all this traffic and stuff, dodging cows and dogs and stuff like that. So
So Josh,
Yeah.
she's like, well, I'm riding in the Himalayas, like
Uh-huh.
just nonchalantly. What do you think about this?
I think it's incredible, and I would love to see that for myself one day.
I
The
put it on the
Himalayas,
list.
like
Oh,
Please
it's-
put it on the list.
Yeah.
World travel for her
World
is like,
traveler. I know. It's like,
yeah.
let's go over to Neptune.
yeah.
It's true. And it's true. It's been so cool. That's something that got me into motorcycles and still motivates me today. Like, I still love riding across this country. There's so much that I haven't seen that I'm fortunate enough to have seen. And our national parks are
Insane.
amazing.
Hey,
But then you take them and cram 8 into a day and then do 10 days of that. That's the Himalayas.
right. Hey,
So you're
think about it. We got to ride in an old Western stagecoach with
Yes.
her and Kaylin.
We sure did.
We all had our hats and boots on, and
Lucky go lucky.
I got my hat there just for that occasion.
right on.
So you're 10, you're 16, you're 20, and you're like thinking about travel. And now I'm not asking your age. You're probably 25 again, but
Wish.
so now you're kind of looking back a couple of years and you're going, man, I've traveled. I've done some great shit.
Definitely lived
I mean,
some
it's a-
lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah. I've got a lot of gray hair for it though.
You'll never stop.
Yeah. I got my first gray hair at 19 and it's coming in strong, but I'm super grateful for it. And the big driving force, I think, has always comes back to community and great people that you meet along the way. And like, it's super inspiring to keep sharing those stories and keep wanting to do those things to show people that it's possible. It's like, you don't have to do it like we do it. That's one thing I want to tell
But-
people is
But you
Don't have to.
always have been into this adventure.
yeah.
And now your adventure is turned into where you're sharing your adventure.
Yes.
Because you didn't always, you were just loving life.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of like,
Well, she's always been a creator,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
she's been sharing it in some ways, but
yeah.
I had the fortunate, like, Bali's become a hotspot for influencers, and I was surrounded by a lot of creative people when I was there, which was cool. And I did make a huge shift, I want to say in like 2018, with social media and being like, motorcycles.
Right.
I don't know when I'm going to go back to the States, but when I do, it's going to be for motorcycles. And so from 2018 to 2020, it was just pumping. And I was around really talented photographers. I was picking up things from them, learning things. And by the time I got here, it wasn't a huge following. It was about 4,000 followers, but enough to like get the attention of some brands and help
Right.
me with my trip, and
Mhm.
some amazing people helping support me because of that. And then being a female in it, I didn't realize I'd just been following all these amazing women, but it's still a small community. And I didn't realize how small till I got here, and then was like just running amok to everything and meeting all these incredible women. And
It seems like it's growing because the stuff that we've seen, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
women that we know that ride, and there's clubs and there's groups and there's
well, I don't think we paid as much attention to it before we started doing the recreation of the old guys. I mean, we just used to go ride.
yeah.
We didn't care. We'd meet people all over, and it was just our little story.
Yeah.
You know.
aren't old guys kind of a special group?
But I mean, think about
We
it.
got to get more old guys out there.
I was 53 when we started. He was 58. It
Well,
was 4 years in February.
yeah,
So what are you turning?
63. I'll be
So
64.
you were 59. Yeah, it was 59. So to come
Yeah.
out and put a YouTube channel together
yeah.
and then start showing stuff and finding a kid over there that was at the time. So I guess you were 23. You had just graduated.
Yeah. I'm
Right?
27. Yeah, I just turned 27 yesterday. So I was about 23.
So we're 4 years old, March 7th.
Yep.
And we have not missed a drop since March 7th, every Wednesday.
And we created a lifestyle and a business. But he walked into our office on crutches because he broke his ankle in a dirt bike. He limped in, and we said, here's some GoPro and iPhone footage. Can you edit? And he did. And then he edited probably a few months. We'd give him footage.
Yeah.
And then we're like, at one point we said, go on a trip with us. And then he did. And then from that point on, he's been with us. But the great thing about that is he knows us so well. He knows our idiosyncrasies. He knows how
Yeah.
to film us. And he just became part of the family, but he's a very old soul.
Yeah.
But my point is, I don't think we paid attention to anything else.
Yeah.
It was just our little,
Right.
and it was like, let's come back and tell our families, this was a crazy story.
Yeah.
This guy in his side-by-side that we met in this little bar knows how far he's ridden through the desert by the amount of beer he's drank.
That's awesome.
So if he had a 6-pack, he knows he's gone 12 miles. It's like if he's had a 24 pack, he's lost.
He's not getting very
Right.
far
So-
fast.
Well, but he is. He's still cruising.
Both
But
of our families were saying to us, why aren't you doing something about this? Because you're telling us these great stories.
Yeah.
Share them with everybody. And we did. But I crack up now because my granddaughters, I have a grandson and 3 granddaughters, but they're in like middle school or whatever. And they're telling their friends, yeah, my papa has a YouTube channel. What? And they look and they go, what? How could your papa have a YouTube channel that has people that like it? Like
Yeah.
they're like blown away, you know? So it's pretty funny.
so back to my point,
What's your point?
like, so now that we're in the scene,
Yeah.
not saying we're in the scene, but
No,
now
we're
doing your
that we
research
started
now.
doing stuff,
Yeah.
That's, I think, what helped us kind of try to inspire people to think differently about female riders. And I think Jessica's had a huge pull on that. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But just being out in the community and hearing some of the stories that women have to go through, it's like, why? Like,
Yeah.
and we even had a gentleman call a couple of years ago. And it's a similar thing. Like, he's an African American, and he asked about Sturgis, and there's not a lot of content
Yeah.
with African Americans in Sturgis, and I'm like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Here's our house. If you run into any issues, you get your ass over here, but you're going to have a blast. And they did. They had an incredible time, him and all his buddies. But it's those barriers that I think is we sit here today and we have a format and a channel and things, a place there that we can stand on and talk a little bit about things. I think it's an obligation we have. And I think it's a right that we should be talking. We don't get political at all on this, right?
Yeah.
But when there's things that we're passionate about, the platform's here to be able to say, hey, think about this a little differently. PTSD.
Yeah.
We've had people in here talking about that.
Yeah.
It's just, raise some awareness around it, and maybe we start to think a little differently. I don't know. It's our
Yeah.
little corner of the
Well,
world.
We always say too, if you watch TV or watch the news, you're not seeing what really the country's like or the world's like.
So
You've
true.
experienced it. We've experienced it.
So
You meet
true.
so many great people. It's like, we know what's really happening.
Yeah.
There's good
Well, you're
people
not seeing it the
everywhere.
way we see it.
Right.
It's also like, I don't know, you guys are storytellers. It's like people subscribe to the news and watch this stuff. And it's like, is the story that defines your life going to be, oh, I got through 9/11 or the housing market crashing or we survived a pandemic or any of that stuff? Our greatest stories is us getting up every day and living. And
Right.
you guys are doing that and telling people that
So are
that's
you.
what you should be focused on is
Yeah.
like none of that other stuff. And we should be supporting each other. And everyone has that right to get out and ride and have a good time and enjoy the highways, these bikes, everything, the wind in their hair. Like,
Right.
it doesn't matter who you are. And I really appreciate the support you guys are giving to all the different communities that you have access to, and to be that way, like to have that mentality and come to the table, because it is a big platform. Like, just think about Spider-Man with like great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
Like with a great audience,
Yeah.
with a great audience, you have kind of this obligation to say something and, stand up for people who maybe don't have as big a voice as you guys have. And I think I've been a little skeptical of doing that, a little bit maybe hesitant to do that and afraid of where that would take me. But I don't know. Justin, it's great that we're doing this YouTube thing, but since 2017, he's been like, why aren't you sharing what you're doing? You're going to the far reaches of the world. You're riding motorcycles in Cambodia and you're like doing this crazy stuff. And like, why aren't you sharing that? Because people would be so inspired what you're doing. And I'm like, no,
If
like
you can
shine
help
away.
one person find that spark,
It's true.
you've done your job,
And I think the more I've gotten into it, it's been like a slow pull, like, okay, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. And, periodic burnout and things like
Right.
that. But the reminders and the memories made with people who aren't here anymore and all these things that keep contributing to like, this is the direction we need to go. And we're going into next year super pumped to share our stories a little bit more than what we have been in the past. And Justin's super talented. He's already been making me look really sweet. So.
There's a lot
That's
of
what
talent.
Josh does.
There's
for
a lot
me.
of talent.
He makes me
sitting
look
over there,
sweet.
Yeah, exactly. We need these talented videographers. It's a Swiss Army knife in your pocket that's really nice to have on these trips.
Right.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
even
Well-
in the sand.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming out here, and I know, I mean, we've had torrential rain the last couple days, and Justin was texting and then called, and he's like, "Did you send Noah's Ark for us?" Where then I was surprised that you took the 138 because the desert there gets flooded out.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I think
I'm
the
like,
mountains caught it. It was dry on the
maybe.
other side. We didn't
It's-
expect any rain, and
oh,
then
maybe.
we came over and it was like,
Well, we drove
end
to
of the world.
Vegas, and you know where you went through we all went through the water.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
That was still running.
yeah.
It was like, and it was before the rain.
I don't know.
Was that out by the solar panels? Did that flood out like on the
Uh,
way into Vegas?
That can.
Oh, okay.
We've ridden through that when it's
Yeah.
flooded out there.
He's talking up by where
on the
you guys were.
138.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know
yeah.
where it's.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that they have flash flood warnings
Yeah.
that go through there because they're the little divots
Yeah.
in the road.
Yeah.
Water
Correct.
just rushes
comes off
through
the
there.
mountain. Just,
We wanted to ride out here with you guys.
I know. And then I think he was talking about trailering the bikes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I think you need to look at the weather map. I don't think you're getting off the.
Yeah. Thanks for
But-
the heads up. We really were pushing. We were like, we can do this. And then as we were coming in, we're like, oh my goodness.
it was
So glad
gnarly
we
rain.
didn't ride in. You
Yeah.
guys are getting some torrential apocalyptic stuff right now for LA.
Right. Not that Vegas is used to this kind of stuff.
So Vegas has this monsoon season that everybody talks about, but it always happens the month that we're in Montana or India, or
You
we
miss it.
evacuate and we like
Yeah.
it never rains in
Or the
Vegas. And then
Himalayas.
Right.
people move, their friends move there, and they're like, "Wait a second, you said it never rains here."
Right.
No, they've had
Arizona
some-
gets hit hard,
They've had
too.
some bad
Vegas gets.
flooding the last. I don't remember it being that bad before.
I think it's raining today there, but we're
Yeah.
not there, so we're gonna say it never rains in Vegas.
Right. You missed it again.
Again, how
Wow.
convenient.
So before we exit, is there anything that we need to talk about here on the comment section, or you got that all dialed in?
I think we got it all covered. Everyone's just enjoying the conversation.
Excellent. Well, we are going to do a trip together,
It's gonna happen.
this group right here. And it's going to be interesting. We're still kind of planning it.
So what's your Instagram handle?
The Maggie Hicks.
And what's the warthog
Yeah.
thing?
And then follow Justin at Warthog Bike.
And what's the new YouTube channel going to be called
Way we roam
in February?
in February. We're making it difficult for people to chase us down, but they're going to get different stories all across the board.
Well, Josh
so-
has all the links in
Yeah.
the
Well,
Cool.
we've seen a couple little clips, and I think people are going to be excited to watch this stuff.
If you like adventure, we're definitely stoked to share our adventures with people.
adventure, good filming, good people.
And remember, okay, so call your friends,
Call your friends.
those in need and those not in need. Just call them and say hello, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you do. But we do Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
And we are so stoked that you were here. It was awesome. We are now even better friends.
Yeah.
So
Can
Thank
we
you.
just poke his head in 1 second?
Yeah,
just
come
to-
on in.
Let me turn his mic on. Let's
here,
see.
you got to
here.
go way over
Oh,
here.
I'm just
Come
gonna
here.
scoot in next to Galen.
There it is. A little more. There it
This
is.
is the warthog.
Hi.
A little bit
This is
clamped.
Justin.
How's it going? What's up, audience?
Well, we appreciate you guys driving out. It was fun hanging out with you guys in New Mexico. Get to know you guys better, and good people here, ladies and gentlemen. Got to follow their channel. It's going to be great. Love the clips.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're gonna be the 2-track life.
2-track left. And this man also served our country. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
With that, we're going to say see you down the road. 1, 2, 3. See you.
Down the road.
Yo, and